La pace sia con tutti voi. Fratelli, sorelle carissimi, questo è il primo saluto del Cristo risorto, il buon pastore che ha dato la vita per il gregge di Dio. Anch'io vorrei che questo saluto di pace entrasse nel vostro cuore, raggiungesse le vostre famiglie, a tutte le persone, ovunque siano, a tutti i popoli, a tutta la terra. La pace sia con voi. Questa è la pace di Cristo risorto, una pace disarmata e una pace disarmante, umile e perseverante. Proviene da Dio, Dio che ci ama tutti incondizionalmente. Ancora conserviamo nei nostri orecchi quella voce debole ma sempre coraggiosa di Papa Francesco che benediva a Roma. Il Papa che benediva Roma dava la sua benedizione al mondo intero, quella mattina del giorno di Pasqua. Consentitemi di dar seguito a quella stessa benedizione. Dio ci vuole bene, Dio vi ama tutti e il male non prevarrà. Siamo tutti nelle mani di Dio. Pertanto, senza paura, uniti, mano nella mano con Dio e tra di noi, andiamo avanti. Siamo discepoli di Cristo. Cristo ci precede. Il mondo ha bisogno della sua luce. L'umanità necessita di Lui come il ponte per essere raggiunta da Dio e dal suo amore. Aiutateci anche voi, poi gli uni gli altri, a costruire i ponti con il dialogo, con l'incontro, unendoci tutti per essere un solo popolo, sempre in pace. Grazie a Papa Francesco. Voglio ringraziare anche tutti i confratelli cardinali che hanno scelto me per essere successore di Pietro e camminare insieme a voi come Chiesa unita, cercando sempre la pace, la giustizia, cercando sempre lavorare come uomini e donne fedeli a Gesù Cristo, senza paura, per proclamare il Vangelo, per essere missionari. Sono un figlio di Sant'Agostino, agostiniano, che ha detto: con voi sono cristiano e per voi vescovo. E in questo senso possiamo tutti camminare insieme verso quella patria la quale Dio ci ha preparato. Alla Chiesa di Roma un saluto speciale. Dobbiamo cercare insieme come essere una Chiesa missionaria, una Chiesa che costruisce i ponti, il dialogo, sempre aperta a ricevere, come questa piazza con le braccia aperte, a tutti coloro che hanno bisogno della nostra carità, la nostra presenza, il dialogo, l'amore. Y se me permiten también una palabra, un saludo a todos aquellos, y en modo particular a mi querida diócesis de Chiclayo en el Perú. Donde un pueblo fiel ha acompañado a su obispo, ha compartido su fe y ha dado tanto para seguir siendo iglesia fiel de Jesucristo. A tutti voi, fratelli e sorelle di Roma, d'Italia, di tutto il mondo, vogliamo essere una Chiesa sinodale, una Chiesa che cammina, una Chiesa che cerca sempre la pace, cerca sempre la carità, cerca sempre di essere vicino specialmente a coloro che soffrono. Oggi è il giorno della supplica alla Madonna di Pompei. Nostra Madre Maria vuole sempre camminare con noi, stare vicino, aiutarci con la sua intercessione e il suo amore. Allora vorrei pregare insieme a voi. Preghiamo insieme per questa nuova missione, però per tutta la Chiesa, per la pace nel mondo, e chiediamo questa grazia speciale di Maria, nostra Madre. Ave Maria, piena di grazia, il Signore è con te. Tu sei benedetta fra le donne e benedetto è il frutto del tuo seno, Gesù. Santa Maria, Madre di Dio, prega per noi peccatori, adesso e nell'ora della nostra morte. Amen. Il Santo Padre Leone, a tutti i fedeli presenti e a quelli che ricevono la sua benedizione a mezzo della radio, della televisione e delle altre tecnologie di comunicazione, concede l'indulgenza plenaria nella forma stabilita dalla Chiesa. Preghiamo Dio Onnipotente perché conservi a lungo il Papa a guida della Chiesa e conceda pace e unità alla Chiesa in tutto il mondo. Sancti Apostoli Petrus et Paulus, de quorum potestate et autoritate confidimus, ipsi intercedant pro nobis ad Dominum. Amen. Precibus et meritis Beate Mariae semper Virginis, Beati Michaelis Arcangeli, Beati Ioannis Baptiste, et Sanctorum Apostolorum Petri et Pauli et Omnium Sanctorum, misereatur vestri omnipotens Deus, et dimissis omnibus peccatis vestris, perducat vos Iesus Christus ad vitam aeternam. Indulgentiam, absolutionem et remissionem omnium peccatorum vestrorum, spatium vere et fructuose penitentiae, cor semper penitens, et emendationem vitae, gratiam et consolationem Sancti Spiritus, et finalem perseverantiam in bonis operibus tribuat vobis omnipotens et misericors Dominus. Amen. Et benedictio Dei omnipotentis, Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti descendat super vos et maniat semper.
All right, we have been watching live there in Vatican City as the new Pope, Leo XIV, addressed the crowds and addressed the world for the very first time. I'd like to bring in correspondent Robert Sherman, who has been standing by live there in Rome. And Robert, you have a translation of what we just heard from the new Pope.
Yes, and so what we just heard there from a short while ago is that the new Pope actually spoke in several different languages, but at first speaking said that he wanted to communicate a message of peace and unity wanted the church to be a unifying, open, and welcoming place, a church that builds bridges. And then I thought it was also interesting here, Nicholas, is that at a certain point he changed languages over to Spanish to address the people in the country of Peru. That's where he served as a missionary and later became a bishop. It was certainly a speech in which trying to speak to all of the different elements of the church and to bring people in all together in an inclusive manner. And what I would say here, Nicole, is that you think about this moment, you go back to the homily given by Cardinal Ray and the focus on finding the right leader for the Catholic Church at this moment in history. Those 133 cardinal electors determined that the right person to lead this church at this particular time into the future from this present moment was an American. Now Pope Leo XIV, formerly Cardinal Robert Prevost, has been the one who the College of Cardinals has determined is the right person for the job at this present moment to lead the church into the future. Through all the tensions that exist around the globe, the war in Ukraine, the war in the Middle East, the tensions brewing on the borders of Pakistan and India, the anti-enough rhetoric that you have felt throughout the globe in recent months. Now all of a sudden the College of Cardinals turn into an American to lead the Catholic Church to try and unite the world in this present moment. That was the decision that they made behind those sealed Sistine Chapel doors through 4 rounds of voting. Nicole?
Yeah, we are seeing history truly being made here as we are starting to see some movement in the crowd as those crowds of, again, tens of thousands of people, very excited, some of them starting to leave, but as you can see, many of them very much there, just relishing in this history as it's being made. Robert, you mentioned the fact that this is an American-born Pope. He was born in Chicago. What can you tell us about this first ever American-born Pope, formerly Cardinal Robert Prevost?
Well, what we had heard from those who are close to the Vatican is that the reason that Cardinal Robert Prevost was considered a bit of a dark horse, outside lane kind of pick was because, yes, was an American, born in Chicago, Illinois, but had spent so much time overseas in South America, in Peru. Also had deep roots when it comes to other nationalities as well, Spanish, French, and Italian roots. An Augustinian, studied canon law, church law in Rome, were certain elements that made him not just succinctly an American of the church, but also someone, who was of the world entirely. And that's why there's some belief that if there were one American who could possibly attain this role and ascend to the papacy, it might be him. And sure enough, that was the decision that the College of Cardinals made behind closed doors. We don't know how they came to that conclusion. We don't know what those conversations were like, and we will never know, due to the sacred oaths of secrecy that all those cardinals had to make, placing their hands on the gospel, vowing to not discuss what was mentioned behind those sealed Sistine Chapel doors. But it took 4 votes in order to get to this point, 4 rounds of voting in order to determine that this was the person to lead the church into the future. And as you hear those bells tolling and you feel the eternal city come eternally and existentially alive in this moment, and you feel the vibrations and the hums of life all throughout here, once more, this city which has called home to so many chapters of history, to the Roman Empire, to the Holy Roman Empire, to the Renaissance, has now written yet another chapter, and the United States is squarely in the middle of those pages. Nicole?
And Robert, we're going to continue our coverage now here with our experts and our religious leaders, because we have Father Doherty from St. Patrick's Seminary and University of Menlo Park, who can continue our coverage and talk more about this historic first American Pope. Good morning.
Father Doherty, thank you for joining us. Good morning. Very glad to be with you on this momentous occasion.
Yeah. Pretty incredible.
And a surprising one, too, as we've been reporting this morning, the fact that we have the first American Pope now ascending to that high position. Not many people expected that.
No, I'd say highly unlikely. It's never happened before. I don't think we really expected that it.
Who's about the messages that he's going to send and the direction he's going to lead the and then went on to really study and get higher degrees in canon law. And I'm wondering about the direction. And one quote stands out to me because I have a quote from last year where he said, "The bishop is not supposed to be a little prince sitting in his kingdom." Sounds like he's progressive and very down to earth.
I think clearly my